Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks for joining in. It's a pleasant evening out here, and wishing you all a happy Ganesh Chaturthi. Ganpati Bappa Moria. Our favorite Lord is here, and all of us are worshipping Lord Ganesha. Thank you so much for joining on this webinar during the festival times. And it is my pleasure to introduce Dharmendra Rai, uh, our speaker for the day. He is going to talk about invisible selling. He is a Zen in that area, uh, which is like, I mean, not everyone is able to speak how to sell better. So it takes a lot of reading, a lot of research, and a lot of practical knowledge to arrive at such a topic where a person can, become a writer, publish a book, and then that book also enters one of the top 100 most read books on Amazon. So this is something, an achievement in itself. Apart from being a Zen of invisible selling, Dharmendra is also a mind map trainer. He is the first mind map trainer in India, and he is the most popular mindset trainer, mind map trainer in our country. So definitely, we have also requested him to conduct a webinar on how to create and make best use of mind maps. So he is going to deliver this session on 26th of September. However, today we have Dharmendra to talk on one of his favorite subjects and the most, I mean, the book which earned him the most the most 100 most read books on Amazon title. So that is where we have Dharmendra with us. I would request if you guys can, I mean, you guys can put on your camera so that Dharmendra will have a better feel of the session what we are having today. Until then, kindly keep yourself on mute and let us learn from Dharmendra. In the meanwhile, kindly keep your question coming in the chat, and then we would be happy to take them towards the end of the session. Uh, that's about it. Thank you so much, and thanks, Dharmendra, for joining in. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Chintan, for making this possible and for filling me up with what the TMI group is about. There are millions and millions of individuals in the world. Everyone is trying to make a brand for himself and trying to make a group. But I am very impressed with the way in which you've gone about it. I think you've been very systematic, and your number, you said you've touched a number of 1,000 people in your group. That is really impressive, and you're doing activities regularly. So it's an active group. So congratulations on that. I'm very happy to address an active group, people who are really putting in efforts to improve their thinking and their lives. So the topic we're going to do today is invisible selling. And this is going to be pretty unlike most webinars, in the sense it's going to be more like a conversation or an interview with Chintan. And we will also encourage people to participate. So there are going to be lots of questions. There are going to be a lot of inputs which will be requested of you. And that is the best way to learn a subject. That's active learning. So when you are asked to respond to something, I strongly encourage you to respond, because then you're really thinking and the subject matter is being driven deeper and deeper into your minds. This is not the time to think about right or wrong. We are not here to be right. We are here to learn. It is better to be wrong in a safe environment like the TMI group. We are among learners. We are in a safe environment we should try to minimize mistakes in front of our bosses and in front of our clients. But here, if you are extremely concerned about being right all the time, then you're not really going to take away from the seminar. You've got to be more interested in responding with what your true thoughts are, rather than trying to think of yourself as a Superman. So I would strongly encourage you to participate as much as possible. Okay, so let's start directly with a bomb. So Chintan, let's get one answer from you, and in the interest of time, any one answer that can be read out from the chat section to this question. What do you think is the real reason behind the failure? And let's just assume it's a failure. You might have a different viewpoint. We can talk about that later. Let's just assume that the Tata Nano is a failure. Let's assume that. So what do you think is the one single biggest reason why it's a failure? If you can limit your answer to less than 10 words, all the better. So we get your answer, Chintan, and any quick answer that you can read out from the chat.
Sure, definitely. So one is, so we already have one answer, which says positioning. Positioning. I would say yes. Apart from positioning, there were so people are joining. So that is where I'm getting dialog boxes and I'm admitting them manually. So, however, yes, brand position is something. Yes, and other thing is the kind of shape it had. It similar. I mean, it was. I would say that it has to be, a poor man's pride. Hi, good evening. So it has to be a poor man's pride or user's pride, I would say. It looked to me as an individual, it looked more like an auto rickshaw than a car, because that was the kind of shape it had. So that is what is my comment on that. And yes, brand positioning is something we had the response from the audience.
So let's sum up the answers. The first answer is very, very clear to me. You're saying it's the shape.
Yes.
Okay, so that's pretty clear. Now, positioning is a very wide term. So if instead of positioning, if you can look at any other answer which is more specific, or if the person who said positioning has said something specific, then we can look at that answer. And then, because positioning is very broad.
Yeah, so guys, if you can just talk, I mean, Baiju wanted to add, so feel free to unmute yourself and add here.
No, let's look at the chat, because that will be the most.
Okay, sure. I'm doing so. It's positioning as world's cheapest car. So that is where, I mean, it's like the social positioning of it.
Perfect.
Because in India, buying a car, something it seems to be a kind of symbol of achievement. You know, खुद का गाड़ी भी खरीद लिया है.
Okay.
May I add?
Yeah, go ahead.
Not meeting the expectations, maybe,
Yeah. So just say, using the word positioning, he might be having the right answer in his mind, but it's not a very clear answer. But if somebody is saying positioned as the cheapest car in the world, I think that is a pretty clear and pretty complete answer. So let's just keep these two answers in mind, and I will tell you the real reason at the end of the session.
Okay.
So the topic is in invisible selling. It's about understanding how people actually make decisions and then using that knowledge to sell to them. Okay, so most decisions, most of our lives are lived in a subconscious way, because the human brain is a very, very limited organ. It doesn't have the kind of capacities that most people think it does. Some people are very brilliant, but then they tend to not be brilliant at certain other things. Some people tend to be very brilliant, but then they think they're so brilliant about a certain subject that they take it easy and they start making wrong decisions. So again, quiz time. So this time we'll go only with you, Chintan. You're in the hot seat. Okay. So out of all the decisions, all the activities that the human brain does, okay, everything that we do in our lives,
Right.
just take a guess. In under 5 seconds, just let me know what is your estimate. And don't think too much. You're not a neuroscientist. You don't have to be right.
Right.
What is your estimate of the percentage of work or the percentage of decisions that the human brain makes consciously?
Consciously.
Yeah. Just give me a number, percentage.
40%. 40%.
40%, 40.
40. Yes.
Okay.
Maybe 5%. But
Okay. So I'll just take one, I'll just give you one more chance to change your answer before I give you the answer. And the hint is, think of an exponentially smaller number.
It's less than 1%.
that's a very diplomatic.
Okay.
Less than
So that's
Exponentially
good.
low.
But that's
0.001.
okay. Fine. I was looking at something definite like that rather than saying less than 1%. So it's good. It's good to have these guesses. The real answer is 0.0004.
That's too small.
Okay, percent. Now it's very easy to remember because 4 is in the 4th decimal place. So it's very easy to remember that. Okay, so that is the percentage of the conscious brain, of the brain that is used consciously. But if you look at most people, when they try to convince somebody to buy something, and we are all trying to make people buy something, right? Whether it's a business meeting or not a business meeting, we want somebody to buy something. We want our boss to give us a higher salary. We want to give our team members a lower salary. We want to tell our family members to go to a particular movie. We want to see a particular movie on Netflix and not see some movie which we feel is useless on Netflix. We want to encourage our children to work hard. We want to encourage our children to eat healthy food. So everybody is trying to influence somebody else, but they fail to understand this fact that most people do not use their conscious brains for being influenced or while taking decisions. So this sounds pretty unreal. Let me give you one example which may convince some of you that this is very, very real. Imagine you have been employed by Hindustan Unilever. You got a shampoo, and for the sake of this quiz, assume that you got a shampoo in the market, a competitor shampoo, and both your shampoos have virtually the same qualities in terms of price, in terms of perception by the consumers, in terms of smell, they both smell wonderful. In terms of power of cleaning, they both do a very good job of cleaning the hair. Still, one shampoo outsells the other shampoo by 100%. Again, because of lack of time, let's just take 2 answers to that. So Chintan, you don't need to, I'm giving you a break. I can't put you in the hot seat all the time. So on the chat, if you can read out 2 responses. How is this possible? 2 shampoos, same brand positioning, same quality, same attractive packaging, same wonderful smell, still one outsells the other by 100%. So what could be the reason? Okay, influence others, brand history. Okay, so that's good. So we got 2 good answers. But my example considers that even those 2 factors are exactly the same in both the shampoos. Obviously, that's impossible to have all these factors, but this is, in science, we have to say other things remain equal, right? That's a statement that we have.
We have connect a few more answers. Advantage of early adoption, connect with consumer, loyalty, service level.
Right. So again, in this example, we're keeping all these factors the same in both the brands. So one answer, this is the product of research, is the shampoo that sold more had a bigger opening at the top of the bottle.
That's it.
It's impossible to believe, right?
So the opening of the dispenser point was a bigger one than the competition.
Yes.
So it was easy to get it for
It was
use.
easy to get it, or people felt that there's some legitimacy. I mean, if I press this shampoo, I get 1 milliliter of the shampoo. And this best-selling shampoo, if I press it, I get, say, 4 milliliters. But since it's just come at one press, maybe there's some legitimacy to it. So this must be the right amount. So that automatically, without even them understanding it, without them realizing it, it has led to 100% more consumption. Now he consumes more, so he tends to buy more. And so it results in 100% greater sales in that shampoo. Now,
And come to think of it, otherwise it will get consumed earlier also, so it will sell again more.
exactly. So, but if you were to tell this to people, tell them that, you consume more shampoo because the vent of the shampoo bottle is bigger, people will start switching off. They will disconnect you on Facebook.
Right.
They'll say, do you think I'm an idiot? I am a smart guy. I'm a PMP professional. I work for the Tata Group, or I work for PricewaterhouseCoopers. I am a senior manager there. You think I'm such an idiot that I'm going to consume more shampoo just because the vent is bigger? So this is just one example. I have hundreds of such examples in videos and books that you'll be able to access for free on my website.
Sorry, I joined a bit late. Is that website reference somewhere? I joined a bit late, in fact.
Yeah, so we will give it close to the ending.
Thanks. So sorry, Chintan, I'm intervening in between. Sorry.
So this is one example to show you how people make unconscious decisions or consume without conscious rational thought. Okay, so there is a lot I can say about introducing invisible selling, but to sum it up in one statement, before I go into one strategy that we're going to go in slightly greater depth, it's the science of selling without selling, or it's understanding the irrationality of human beings. Okay, and we're going to talk about a strategy now, which is one of the most powerful strategies in the world. We're going to talk about that for about 15 to 20 minutes before we conclude the session, because the whole objective is that you should get at least one strong takeaway from this session, which you can go out and implement as soon as this webinar is over. I have attended plenty of sessions. I keep going for plenty of sessions, and I see plenty of talk about something useful, but then it's mentioned at such a fluffy level. It's mentioned at such an abstract level that you do not know immediately after the session what to do. So you have to do additional work after the session to understand how to implement it. Well, that's maybe can't be helped in some sessions, but when it can be helped, I would prefer sessions, I would prefer talks, I would prefer books, which give me the last mile solution. I just love last mile solution, so I'm ready. So I'm going to leave you with that. Okay, so we are now going to talk about one very critical, very, very powerful strategy. So again, in the interest of time, I'm going to request Chintan to answer. So Chintan, please use your memory or use your imagination. I'm taking an example from real estate, but this applies to any industry, whether you're selling pencils or whether you're selling planes, it applies everywhere. But I'm taking a real estate example because I think all of us can relate to it. So Chintan, assume that you have gone to a builder's site office. The site office has extremely enthusiastic, well-dressed representatives. You meet a representative there and you ask him, can you show me what is available in this complex that you're building? Most people, okay, after the session is over, you can challenge me on what I'm saying. 99% of the people will not answer this question. They won't respond to your question in the way you expect them to respond. Number one, to make matters worse, they will ask you a question. And that question will be exactly 4 words long. So Chintan, use your memory or use your imagination. What is that question?
आपका बजट क्या है?
Absolutely correct. Which is one reason why the real estate industry is doing very badly.
Good one, Chintan.
In the past, the real estate industry never took training seriously. It never took marketing seriously. If you went to a real estate project and you asked for details, they would give you an Excel sheet. That Excel sheet would be black and white with lots of figures, and it would say project approved by HDFC Bank and ICICI Bank and Tata Finance. And first slab पे इतना payment देना है, second slab पे इतना payment देना है, उसके बाद EMI देना. That was how they used to market. Okay, the market changed from a seller's market to a buyer's market. So they have adapted very fast. They've just gotten some basic trainers or basic voice training. You should wear a tie, you should smile, you should shake hands properly. That basic training is very important. I'm not making fun about that. The point is that basic training existed 30 years ago. I attended a training session 30 years ago where we were told that when you're shaking hands, you should shake hands firmly and you should never offer your left hand. Because some people consider left hand inauspicious. Unless he offers his left hand, don't offer your left hand. So these are very important tips. But the thing is, since it's been there for 30 years, plenty of people already know about it. So that's why my intention is to offer strategies which are the latest research-backed strategies and real credible research. Research by people who have a lot of funds to do the research, who have money to pay statistical experts. And most of these guys are American universities. They just seem to have the funds and the expertise to do this research. But there's a lot of research coming in from Israeli universities as well. Okay, so we've taken this real estate example and we will come back to this real estate example in about 2 minutes. Now let me tell you something that I do it at my offline sessions. I've done about 150 offline sessions for invisible selling, where we can do some experiential exercises and prove something, but I cannot do it here because of the online format. So I'm just going to tell you what happens, or maybe I'll quiz you about what you think normally happens in these sessions, and we will come back to this real estate example. In every seminar of mine where there are at least 40 people, I split up the room into 2. Let's assume it's a seminar with exactly 40 people. So 20 people stay in the room and 20 people go out of the room. The 20 people which are in the room, I show them a painting and I ask them 2 questions about the painting. The first question is, just write down, do you think this painting is worth 700 crores, more than 700 crores, or less than 700 crores? That's it. They have to select one of these 2 statements. That's question number 1. And question number 2 is, imagine that you are as rich as Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is the richest man in the world, approximate net worth $200 billion. So imagine you are Jeff Bezos and you feel like buying this painting. How much do you think you will be willing to pay to buy this painting? Just jot down the figure. Then I request this team to go out and I request the earlier team of 20 people to come in. I show them the same painting and I ask them the question, do you think this painting is worth more than 10,000 rupees? Or do you feel it's worth less than 10,000 rupees? Question number one. Question number two, imagine you're Jeff Bezos. Your net worth is $200 billion. You feel like buying this painting. How much would you be willing to pay? Now, we have the 700 crore group and we have the 10,000 crore group. The average of the 700 crore group is taken in terms of how much they're willing to pay for this painting. And the average of the 10,000 rupee group is taken in terms of how much they're willing to pay for this painting. So again, Chintan, you're in the hot seat. Which average do you think is higher?
Sorry, I missed that. Maybe someone from the audience can do it.
700
Actually, I had
crores.
my son.
100 crores average.
Okay, so Jitendra has offered 700 crores. That is absolutely correct. It happened without fail in every seminar where there have been at least 20 people, because in statistics, you've got to look at large numbers. So 20 people in each group seems to be the sweet spot in terms of getting the correct numbers. Now, it makes people in the room absolutely crazy. They can't believe it. They can't believe that just by looking at a figure of 700 crores, one bunch of people heard the figure 700 crores. They were asked a question about 700 crores. The other group was exposed to the figure of rupees 10,000, but they saw the same painting. They were not told anything else about the painting. They were not told about the painter. They were not told about the last price at which that painting was sold. So in short, other than the visual of the painting, they were given no constructive, rational data about that painting to make a rational decision. In spite of that, the difference is that high. Some people are willing to pay 1,000 crores. Some people are willing to pay. The difference sometimes is as much of the averages as much as 100%. 100 times, sorry, 100x, not 100%. So the way you need to look at it is, you got two salespeople both selling the same product. One guy understands invisible selling and the other guy does not. And the person who understands invisible selling, though he's not got any other more skills than the other salesperson, is able to get 100x the price for the same product. Just let that sink in for a few seconds. Okay. So the question is now, how does one explain this? What's going on? What's going on is,
Sorry.
People understand the concept of value only by reference, only by looking at something else. Human beings don't have a brain which can determine the value of something by itself. You see a building, you see a car. What is the intrinsic value of that car or that building? The human brain has no clue. So when people were looking at, let me give you an example of a person who's buying furniture for the first time. He goes to a furniture shop, let's say goes to IKEA, and he sees the table. And he asks the salesperson, how much is this table for? The salesperson says the table costs 10,000 rupees. Now, normally when we get data, we tend to feel better. This guy is as clueless. He is still as confused as to whether it makes sense to buy this table or not. Even after he comes to know the price. Before he came to know the price, he didn't know because he didn't know the price. After coming to know the price, he has no clue because he doesn't know what the intrinsic value of a table is. And he has not bought a table before. Okay. Assume that after that, the salesman from IKEA shows him a chair. And he says, I thought I'll just let you know, in case since you're buying a table, I thought I'll let you know this beautiful chair is available for 5,000 rupees. Okay, so if you had to answer in one word, better or worse, what do you think is the state of the mind of this prospective buyer? Is it better or is it worse?
Lack of benchmark.
So after knowing that the chair costs 5,000 rupees, does he feel good or does he feel bad?
He feels bad.
No, he feels good because now at least he's got some basis to feel that that 10,000 rupee price is a good price. Because compared to that, a smaller piece of furniture is 5,000 rupees.
Yeah.
So there seems to be some justification at some level that 10,000 rupees is the right price. Though there's no guarantee that he's going to buy the table at that price. The point is he feels better when he should not actually feel better because he's forgotten to ask the question, is that chair really 5,000 rupees worth? Is it really worth 5,000 rupees? What is the rationale for it being 5,000 rupees? What's the intrinsic value of that chair? He's forgotten to ask those questions because it's just too much analysis needed for that kind of decision. All he knows is, okay, compared to this chair, compared to the table, the chair is a smaller piece of furniture. I'm getting to buy a bigger piece of furniture at a higher price than the cost of a smaller piece of furniture. And hence, it seems to be the right decision. So the 500, the 5,000 figure is like, the 10,000 figure is like an anchor. And now he's got something to compare the anchor price with. Now let's go back to the painting example. When people look at that painting, they're trying to find out how much am I willing to pay. They want to answer that question. How much am I willing to pay if I was like Jeff Bezos and I had to buy this painting? How do they take that decision? Their minds are racing. Did they see some James Bond movie in which some painting was being auctioned? There's not a single James Bond movie in which a painting was being auctioned. There was a Roger Moore movie called Octopussy where an egg, a Fabergé Easter egg was being auctioned. But that's an egg, it's not a painting. So now they're constantly thinking. They're coming up with blanks. Their brains can't think of anything. So in its frustration, their brains cling on to the first number which their brain can think of. And in this case, the first number that their brain can think of was the number given to them immediately before they were asked this question. For half of them, the number they were exposed to was rupees 10,000. And for half of them, the number they were exposed to was 700 crores. Imagine people willing to pay several hundred crores more just because they were primed or a number was used to anchor them to a higher price. So this sounds like witchcraft, it sounds like magic, but this is a scientifically validated fact with several experiments done. Now, the concept of anchoring has been explained to you. You have this superpower called anchoring in your hands. Now imagine that you are at the site office of the real estate builder. Okay, so let's take the first question that comes, first answer that comes from the audience. You are the real estate representative. Chintan has come to you and asked you, can you tell me what is available? What do you have to offer? Now that you know anchoring, what should you say or what should you do? Okay, I think we've got some answers which are in the right direction. Let me quickly see if in the next 10 seconds we can get something definite. Now, if Chintan comes to me, I have to say something definite to him. So tell me the exact words that you're going to use. Exact less than 10 words that you will tell Chintan if he asks you that question. Because we need, this is a real life situation. Don't give me an answer. I'll say something like, don't give me that kind of answer. People hate specificity. greater chances of being wrong when you give a specific answer. Okay. Let's wait for exactly 5 seconds more. I haven't found the answer that I'm looking for. You have to use anchoring. We've just gone through a. Okay, so I'm getting some slightly better answers. Let me suggest the right answer by suggesting what I would do. I would directly show Chintan a 100 crore apartment. Okay, I have no clue what your budget is. I have no clue whether he's Jeff Bezos or whether he's Nirav Modi. I got no clue. I am constantly shocked. Some people actually tell me, out of the 150 seminars I've done, and I've done it for almost all the real estate companies in the country, some sales guys actually tell me, you know, we will try to make out what is the net worth of the person who's coming in. They think they're so smart. By looking at a person and asking him a few questions, they can find out his net worth. It is almost impossible to do. Even for Dhirubhai Ambani, it would have been very difficult. So these people are people out of college, 1 or 2 years of experience. They think they are so smart. They can look at a person and they know what kind of car he is driving. In most cases, research has shown in a fantastic book called The Millionaire Next Door that the richer the person, the less important he looks. Right? Steve Jobs wear a normal black T-shirt.
In fact, Mr. Dhirubhai Ambani himself.
Yeah, Dhirubhai Ambani was okay. At least he used to wear some formal stuff and all that. But the culture has changed so much after IT industries. Mark Zuckerberg wears a grey T-shirt all the time.
President Abdul Kalam.
Yeah. So these guys think they're so smart, they can actually make it. Doesn't make any sense. So you got no clue. Asking him for his budget is, again, we'll come to that question. The best thing to do for me is to show Chintan a 100 crore apartment. When he sees a 100 crore apartment, if he's come to the site with the desire to buy a 50 crore flat, maybe now he'll jack it up. Maybe he'll be willing to pay 60 crores, 70 crores, 50 crore, 50 lakhs, even 50 lakhs increment for a strategy with costs no money is a big deal. So chances are very high that your aspirations now have gone up because you've seen a 100 crore flat. Plenty of people don't know what they want till they've seen it. That's why the conventional market research, where you go to people and say, sir, what kind of product do you want, is absolutely stupid because the client doesn't know what he wants. If he knew what he wanted, then life would be very easy. Nobody wanted a mobile phone till he saw a mobile phone. Nobody wanted an iPod before he saw an iPod. When Henry Ford was asked, did you do market research before launching your cars? He said no, because the only mode of transport people know is horses. And most people are good only at incremental thinking and not exponential thinking. So at the most they can think of is the concept of a faster horse. If I tell them about a car, they'll say, okay, you tell me what a car is. That's not market research, that's a dialogue. So now you've been exposed to a 100 crore flat. You've seen the beauty of a 100 crore flat. You've seen the luxury of a 100 crore flat. It's not going to work with everyone, but even if it works with 10% of the clients, you just double, triple your sales without spending a single rupee. And hence, giving the client a big number at the beginning is very, very important. And this is also why asking a client, what is your budget, is not just a bad strategy, it is a disastrous strategy. Okay, so how many people in this webinar have ever told the truth? I'm sure there'll be no response now. Have ever told the truth when you are asked, what is your budget? If you have ever told the truth, please say something on the chat. Otherwise, don't say anything. One person said never. But right? Why would I tell anybody my budget? It's the opposite, right? So what would you say? Suppose you want to buy a flat and your budget is 20 crores. Okay, so again, in the interest of time, I'll have to again go to Chintan.
Yeah.
You've gone. Let's stick to the previous example. You've gone with the intention of buying a flat worth 50 crores. Your budget is 50 crores. Now the guy, that teenager-ish looking guy, an 18-year-old guy straight out of college, he's asking you, what's your budget? What will you say?
So if my budget had been 50 CR, I would say it's around 25 CR. And show me what you have got.
Yeah. So
I've been little blunt in answering this. I've had many examples of this kind in real life. People in real estate ask me, what is your budget? I would say, why should I tell you my budget here? Accordingly, your flat price will increase or decrease. You tell me what price your flat is of.
okay, so that's one response. First of all, it's a very ill-mannered question to ask, right? The client is asking a question, prospect is asking a question. You're not answering the question and you're asking another question. That's such a terribly, terribly ill-mannered thing to do, number one. Number two is, I think, that's my estimate is, say 50 to 60% of the people will do exactly what Chintan has done. They are not going to talk about their real budget and they'll give a lower number. Now that you know anchoring, just understand the powerful psychological change that has happened in Chintan's mind now. His budget was 50 crores. Now he has told the sales guy, my budget is 25 crores. The figure 25 crores has now entered his mind. It's hitting in against the wall of his mind like bullets, like bullet holes. 25 crores, 25 crores, 25 crores, 25 crores. And an amazing salesman who's trained by the worst sales trainers in the world. He says, sir, 25 crores ka hai flat, ye dekhiye. This is 25 crores, this is 20 crores, this is 15 crores, 10 crores. Usko kya hai? He just thinks less than 25 crores ka dikhana hai aur sultan hai. That's the way these people are trained. Short-term outlook, kuch to nikla. And that's a very, very stupid way of going about it. When you can earn much more from a client and also serve the client, why shouldn't you do it? Okay, now repeatedly the 25 crore figure is hitting Chintan's mind. And he sees a flat of 25 crores. Acha, this is the view, these are the tiles, Jaguar fittings, hai, not bad. Hai? Italian marble. So now Chintan is thinking, अरे मैं क्या पागल था 50 crore की सोच रहा था. The kind of stuff you can get with 25 crores is quite good. So this is very good. Now I can save 25 crores and I can buy future shares because Mukesh is buying it on Monday.
Have you read Chintan's mind?
I can invest the money in mutual funds. I can invest the money in another property and give that on rent. No, he's so excited. What 25 crore mein अच्छा माल मिल रहा है market में.
Dharmendra is a mind mapper, mind reader. He can read anybody's mind.
No, but this is how every human being is going to think. Right? You've shown me something at 25 crores. My budget was 50 crores, but you're showing me something good at 25 crores. Now, obviously, you'll feel like buying the cheaper product and saving money now. So, because of faulty sales training, not only has that person not been able to get 50 crores from you, he's actually lost 25 crores for his company when he could have probably got 60 crores or 100 crores.
Yes.
So, you see how dangerous bad training is. So, plenty of people, the smartest companies in the world, the Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, they give a lot of importance to training. They spend millions and billions of dollars on training. But otherwise, the smaller companies think, "Arey, training to kya hai, number of hours khatam kar do bas." And they think of sales and marketing matlab product acha hona chahiye bas. Or maintain good relations with clients. I was in the mutual fund industry. The chief executive of mutual fund, he spoke to the sales head of his company. And I met the sales head. He said, हमारा chief executive बोलता है client के सामने late जाने का. These are the views about selling. These are the attitudes towards selling. All this is all old school. Maybe it worked 30 years ago. Today, it does not work because plenty of clients will not even meet you. First, it was very easy to meet clients. It was very easy to take them for lunch, dinner. It was very easy to speak to them on the phone. It was very easy to go to their homes and meet them because they had nothing else to do. There was no internet, there was no Netflix. Today, it's very, very difficult. If you're not going to use scientific strategies, you're going to lose. And if your competitors using them, all the more reason for you to be very, very afraid. Okay, so as we approach the end of the session, let's go back to the question we started with. And the answer is a no-brainer now. So let's take the answer from somebody in a chat. What is the real reason for the Tata Nano failure? And now you know about a strategy of invisible selling, which makes it very easy for you to answer this question. If nothing comes up in 10 seconds, then the question will be bounced to Chintan. I feel like a quiz master. Eric O'Brien has joined politics now. and Siddharth Basu is a producer. He's making more money.
Yes, so my friends are here to protect me, and then answers are quoting too cheap. Mitra says, GS says, cheap car slogan. Pradeep
Possibly,
says,
Maruti had already set a standard of cheapest car of 2.5 lakh rupees. So anchoring was 2.5 lakh or above.
Okay. So let me give you the answer. But again, a very quick question. The first thing that entered your mind when you came to know about something stuck in your mind.
No, I missed your question. I think
sorry, there was some glitch actually. We missed your audio actually.
Okay. One thing stuck in the minds of most people, the first time they came to know about Nano, either through TV or print medium or internet, one major thing stuck in everybody's mind. What is that?
चलेगी भी ये?
Okay,
the price for someone who was
majority of the people thought that because it's a Tata brand. So
सबसे सस्ता इसलिए शायद doubt है चलेगा कि नहीं चलेगा.
It was aimed at people owning two-wheelers and who just wanted to upgrade to the next level.
Okay, that is definitely what Mr. Tata had in mind, but you know, something that consumers are very sensitive about, especially in this country. What is that?
The status it creates of the car. Mm-hmm. The car, because it was priced at about 1 lakh of rupees and was sold or positioned as that it was the cheapest car, actually created a mind that if I buy that car, my status in the society will go down. People will start looking down upon me. And in India, we are very status conscious. We don't ask, do you have a television at your place? We say, I bought a Sony. So we put the name in front of that material that we buy.
Very well said.
Okay, so maybe that is one of the right answers. My suggestion is that the right answer is that the thing that stuck in most people's minds was the price. 1 lakh rupee car. If status had been such a big thing, then there would be no cheap cars. That's my way of looking at it.
And Dharmendra, one more, I would say a tricky answer would be, they started booking in State Bank of India.
Sorry? Started booking?
The advance booking of the car was started in SBI. Who in the world goes to SBI?
Okay, that's news to me.
And Dharmendra, sorry to interrupt, but no, there are a couple of things which you may be very right that we started with a lakh of rupees as a price tag.
Yeah.
But let me also tell you something like this, right? So I was an owner of Nano. I had Nano, and now it has been driven
Yeah,
by my cousin.
even I would have bought it.
No, I had it, and I've driven it across Gujarat for that matter.
Yes,
And I love
you
that
had.
car.
I know. Baiju had a Nano. I mean,
Yeah,
he
yeah, yeah.
used to drive
So I
Nano.
love
Yeah.
the car, and I've driven it across Gujarat, right? And it was very nice for me. It was a very fantastic car. Not that I don't have other cars, but the question was that when I tried to buy that Nano, somebody says, "Tu truck खरीदने जा रहा है क्या?" Tata basically has those the mindset of people is if you buy a Tata car, it's not a car but a truck. Second is there is no resale value of Tata cars.
Okay.
Tata had this very bad image tagging along with them because of the failure of Indica initially. And we have this crazy mindset that if I buy a car, what is the resale value after 5 years of this car?
Okay, so I think all these are right answers. I'm based on research. I'm suggesting that this is the biggest reason that the 1 lakh thing has stuck in people's minds. After that, there were.
Dharmendra. Hello.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, Dharmendra. Just a perspective. If time permits, I'll just take 20 seconds.
Yes.
So
Sure.
I don't own any car, and I'm not a like I believe in some theory. Okay, leave that part. So I don't own any car, and I've never.
Same here. Same here.
What I'm telling is exactly the perception which you told, and I'm not because I'm a sales expert or anything. Exactly the term which you said, 1 lakh car. Okay, that used to make me feel that I can never buy a Nano. I mean, I used to have a discussion with my friends also कि कार नहीं रखेंगे लेकिन ये 1 lakh कार तो नहीं किसी को खरीदना चाहिए. So exactly that is the point. I personally feel that most of the people it must have stuck at least in India. I mean, and I saw in the chat session also one Mr. Ramay has written that exact word 1 lakh car. So I think that was a very bad branding of that those 3 words 1 lakh car. I mean, that Tata team, whoever it was. I really feel that was the point which put many of us off.
Yeah, I'm suggesting it from dissatisfaction from the anchoring point of view. If you are telling me you're going to give me a car for 1 lakh, after, and this is there in the research, some of the cars were actually sold for 1 lakh. Some, I don't know how many, but after that, very quickly, they realized that it is not viable to sell the car for 1 lakh, and they sold it, I think, as much as 2 to 2.5.
So, Dharmendra.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dharmendra, this is Biren.
Yeah.
So the living of standard is also going up. So that's why the people are very rigid to have this 1 lakh rupee car. That is also a case.
Yeah, so I'm saying these could be some of the right answers. I'm just offering my suggestion based on the research. Okay, so let's quickly wrap this up. The conclusion of the anchoring session is that the first price that goes into your client's mind is absolutely critical. There is something called non-price anchoring also, but we won't have time to get into that. The first price is absolutely critical, and hence it is better that you start with the higher price rather than the lower price. Now, some people might say, but we don't have a high cost product. Well, in that case, create a high cost product. That high cost product may be a loss maker on its own, but because of that high cost product, you will be able to sell your number 2 product, your number 2 most expensive product at a higher cost than people would normally be willing to pay. So it's absolutely critical when you go into a negotiation. Most people have been trained exactly the opposite. Most people have been trained to ask what's your budget, or to just let the other person speak about his figures, so we come to know हमको अंदाजा मिलेगा वो क्या मूर्ख है तुम्हें अंदाजा देने के लिए. It doesn't work that way. So that is the strategy for the day, and I suggest we, considering the time that we have remaining, we can take 2 questions, and after that I will leave you with ways in which you can contact me. for further queries, and then I will hand it over to Chintan for conclusion. So we have time for 2 questions. Chintan, over to you.
Thanks, Dharmendra. Indeed, this was a great session, and it actually, gave a lot of food for thought. Definitely, I'm going to try something what I learned today in next week itself. That is where I am. I'm sharing my view. Yes, the floor is open. Who would like to share the most trickiest questions of the day? So please unmute yourself, put on your video camera, and feel free to ask a question.
Yeah, I think that is better.
So what is the actual cost of a flat? Dharmendra?
What is the actual cost of this flat?
Dharmendra,
Apartment. People have been
Dharmendra,
anchoring
sorry.
us for 2 crore to 20 crore or maybe a crore. So how does one ascertain? Anchoring is fine. Anchoring at a customer level and a seller level is both are very, very good. Thank you for this. But otherwise, what do you think should be the actual parameter as a customer?
So Chintan will tell.
Okay.
You have no way of knowing unless you're a builder. You don't know what the actual cost is.
Chintan.
Dharmendra, this is Baiju here.
If we can take the questions on chat, that will be more systematic. Otherwise, there will be too many voices.
Oh, okay.
So this was not such a directly related question to invisible selling. So let's take 2 more questions, and after that, I'll just let them know how they can get in touch with me, and then we'll get to those questions.
Does this apply to digital media selling also, Dharmendra?
Absolutely. When you go to Amazon,
No. That's actually phygital, I would say. That's physical plus digital, because now whatever the commodity is being, that will reach you, the material will reach you. I'm talking about the coaching business, the consulting business, the business wherein the tangible and intangibles are in the form of digital delivery only. And there is no physical delivery happening there. So
it makes no difference. Every strategy of invisible selling can be used anywhere. So you can start off by saying that you have this high cost, high touch coaching product, say one-on-one coaching product or platinum plan. The platinum plan costs this much.
fantastic.
You know nobody's going to buy that product. And if Mr. Mukesh Ambani buys it, all the better for you.
Yeah. He'll buy the company actually.
And then he said, this is the gold plan. The gold plan is the product where you feel you get the maximum.
Right.
But
Thank you so
so
much.
anchoring ho gaya udhar upar ka. Now
And that is
ye bhi hai. So
And that is where they also tag it most popular.
Yes.
that is the different strategies.
Oh, okay.
वो मेरे book में है. That book is free. I'll give you the link of that book. That's a different strategy.
Fast moving product, actually. What we call it in manufacturing, fast moving product.
Okay, so second question. Chintan, if you can take it from chat.
Sure,
that will be
definitely.
the most systematic. Otherwise, there'll be too much
I'll do
confusion.
that. Yes. I'll do that. Okay, so Pradeep says he always felt that giving a high price option would turn away the customer. So what are your views on that? I mean, because there are 2 things I'll tell you about Pradeep. Pradeep Bhau, he himself is one of the top builders of, Chhattisgarh.
Oh, wow.
Chhattisgarh is a state. If you try to rank top 5 builders, then he's one of them.
No, after the seminar, he's going to become number 1.
So that is where, so he feels that giving a high price always turns off the customer, and that's what he has been. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, now you have to look at the context also. If a person is come to the session, come to your site office, he's invested time, energy and money, he's serious about buying. He could be from the competitor, he could be a idle person. Well, some people of that sort will be there, but most people who will come to a site office to see, let's assume they're serious people. Now I am there with a 50 crore budget and you show me a 100 crore flat. I like what I see. You also give me a nice cup of tea and coffee, and I feel very good that you're very hospitable with me. So if I want to look at a low cost option, I'll tell you, okay, thank you for showing me the 100 crore, but can you show me another one for 40 crores? I'm not going to go away immediately just because you show me 100 crores. I've spent time, energy and money to come to that site. मैं ऐसे थोड़ी भाग जाऊंगा. Unless she does something which makes me so disgusted, I'm not going to leave. I'm going to hang around. And the soft skills part, they really need to, the real estate guys need to work on that. You can't have one strategy and just ignore the other strategies. And one thing I've noticed is they're definitely better, but when people come at the site, there should be something more engaging there. So for example, there could be a play area. If husband and wife have come with the kids, they can say, okay, do you want to let the kids stay in the play area there? There's some friendly looking lady there who will give them some snacks and take care. So the whole concentration of the two people is on looking at the flats. So these strategies also have to be taken care of. After this, you show him a 100 crore flat, you're so nice to him, he's so happy with the service he's getting, he thinks you're really hospitable, nice people, and he says, okay, this is a good quality stuff, 100 crore, you know what you're doing. And if he wants to see a 40 crore flat, he'll say, okay, this is nice, can I see a 40 crore flat? He's not going to say, 100 crore ka dikhaya, main to tera muh nahi dekhna chahta hu, main jaan. He's not going to say that. So you can definitely use a strategy. You just have to do it in the proper way.
Okay, fine. So that answers his question.
Let me quickly mention two things here. One is, in case you have any queries on the email, all you have to do is just go to Google and type Dharmendra Rai. That's it. You don't need to remember anything else. And you will see a website. On the website, you will see a red symbol where you can send a message. So it's very easy to see. It's very easy to send a message to me. Number two,
I just saw that, and very well made. And I can see the mind map is also one of the topics you've done.
Yes.
I would love to get in touch with you on that.
Yes. And we're going to do one more introductory 1 hour session on mind maps through Chintan. He'll send out details later. And point number two is Chintan is sending me the email addresses of the entire TMI group, I hope, by today. So I will send them a link where they can read my book completely for free. So these two things I wanted to say before handing it to Chintan for closure. And thank you again.
Thank you so much. Yes, I will be sending email IDs of all the participants. And that is where you would be receiving emailers from Dharmendra on I mean, a lot of freebies he is going to give away, his book, his videos, and that is where you can learn a lot of new things, as well as you would also get updated about what are his upcoming sessions, and definitely for your specific requirement, you can get in touch with Dharmendra as well. So this is where we are. Thank you so much, Dharmendra. And I would request GS to share a vote of thanks on behalf of all of us. GS, if you can put on your camera and do a vote of thanks on behalf of TMI community, please. GS, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Chintan.
Yes, sir. If you can just put on your camera and do vote of thanks for us, please.
Yeah, sure. I'm doing it. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So first of all, happy Ganesh Chaturthi to all of you, our entire TMA group. Though Chintan says no socializing, so it's a festive occasion. Let me greet all of you. So it was one of the wonderful session. So I had attended through the speaker, Dharmendra Roy, has given the practical examples. So throughout the session, he was connecting to us the day-to-day life, how the individual marketing being done, and some of us became victim also. Maybe I was chatting on the jewelry shopping and car and real estate. So let me tell car. I started my car journey with Maruti 800. Now I am driving a Benz C-Class. So I know how it is marketed and what type of category they look for. And coming to real estate also, I was not having one flat. I purchased 3 flats. So this is also so thanks to the individual selling. So afterwards I thought, let me put full stop to the real estate. So, and we are all thankful to Chintan for organizing such a nice sessions to all of us as a TMI, as a community, and on behalf of all TMI group members. So we thankful profusely to Dharmendra, and we look forward for his empowerment, our education, and visible, invisible marketing skills through his website and connection link they're going to share with us. Thanks, Dharmendra, and
Okay.
thanks, Pankaj.
Okay, thank you. I look forward to meeting all of you again next month. Thanks to Chintan again.
Thank you so much, GS. Thanks for sharing. Vote of thanks on behalf of all of us. The next date is definitely next week. We are going to have another webinar that would be on the rise of technology in import-export business. So this is going to be interesting webinar as well. And we would have Dharmendra once again with us on 26th of September. That is another Saturday, our day for our TMI webinar. And this is the day when he's going to talk on mind maps. So this is something, another area of his expertise. So thank you so much, Dharmendra, for this concepts on invisible selling. And yes, we are eager, charged to read about your book and try these invisible selling tactics in our day-to-day life. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Now I would be stopping the recording. However, the session continues. All of us can chit-chat and do the fellowship. Thanks for joining in. And let me stop the recording and the session continues. Let's have chit-chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chintan.
Thank you,
Okay,
Chintan.
Chintan, so I'll be logging